I am a cisgender heterosexual man. You could probably tell that just by looking at me, but it's not good to make assumptions like that, so there you go. Now you know. As Indigo likes to say, I am default settings. So why is it that when I play Pokemon, I seem to enjoy the game much more when I pick the female player character? First 3 Pokemon games I played, Yellow, Blue, and Silver, only had one playable character. They were all dudes, and I didn't give it any thought. But then Crystal came out, and for the first time you had an option. You could be Ethan, or you could be Chris.
Woo, Chris! I liked your blue hair.
I had been Ethan before in Silver, and honestly, Chris just looks like she would be a really good friend, so because I could, I picked Chris. But it didn't end there. Every time I've replayed Crystal, I pick Chris. I've also played as the girl in Hoenn, Kalos, Alola, Galar, now Sinnoh, and I even played the new Pokemon Snap as the girl. I know this isn't an entirely unique experience, but I wanted to share my journey with it and try to understand why and what it all means. So of course, I called up an expert.
So hi, I'm Mai or Molly, whichever you'd prefer. I use they, them pronouns, and biggest thing, I'm trans. I've been studying gender since I was 9 and 21 now, so that's 12 years now. So just reading gender pieces. Judith Butler's a big one, just trying to figure out theories of gender. I have a BFA in game design, and yeah, I think those are all my credentials.
Before we explore my specific experience, I think it's important for us to make sure we're all on the same page about what some of these terms mean. I described myself at the start as a cisgender heterosexual man. You'll often hear it abbreviated as cishet. Heterosexual, most people probably know, means that I'm attracted to people of the opposite sex. So in my case, I'm a man, I like women, I'm straight. Cisgender means that my gender matches what I was assigned at birth. So when I was born, a doctor looked at me and said, "It's a boy." Or actually, probably they said, "El menino." And yes, I am in fact a boy. This is the opposite of transgender people who are assigned one gender at birth when they are in fact not that. They identify as something else. But what even is gender?
Gender is such a weird concept because it's not just something that exists within you, because it's also a social construct. So the 3 biggest theories of gender, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle of all 3 of them, is gender presentation theory, which is basically gender isn't something you are, it's something you do. You're Libris, you're cishet guy, but if tomorrow you shaved your beard, started wearing a dress, and put a bra on, you'd be a girl for all intents and purposes. That's not quite true though. Like, maybe you'd awaken something and be like, yeah, this is actually what I want. But more likely it'd be like, that's not really what I am. So gender isn't just how others perceive you. That is one of the most important aspects of it. And it's how a lot of us trans people deal with our dysphoria, is by being perceived as a different gender. But there's also this innate part of it. And that is the second one, which is the mind theory, where it's just doesn't really matter how you look. It is 100% based in how you feel. And Harry Styles wearing a dress doesn't make him any less of a man. But then we do, as a society, look at people in certain ways. So if you and I were both walking down the street, and I was wearing my skirt versus you're wearing your outfit, people would look at me in a more feminine way versus how they look at you, which goes back to the first one. And then the third theory is you have a penis, you're a guy, you have a vagina, you're a girl. That's it, nothing else. And that's flawed for many reasons, not just because trans people exist, but also because intersex people exist. And not all intersex people are non-binary. Although I've met a few intersex people who are non-binary, and their perspectives on gender are just because they're like cis non-binary people, which is just so cool to me. And so my theory falls between the two, where it's like you will feel more comfortable if you're perceived in a certain way, but whatever your gender actually is how you feel. So like when I was going to these trans support groups, there were some girls in there or trans girls in there who were completely dressed as cis guys because they hadn't come out. It wasn't safe for them to come out. That doesn't make them any less female, but the way society treats them is going to make them feel less female.
That makes sense to me. I've cross-dressed, I've played the part of a woman, and it might make me act or even feel a little bit more feminine, but it's a costume. It doesn't change who I am. But let's go back to video games. Not every game gives you a choice of character at all. Like The Legend of Zelda, you pretty much exclusively play as Link. And maybe not every game needs that choice, but there are advantages to allowing it.
One of the ideas is being able to represent yourself. And so 99% of the main characters are cishet white guys. And so if you're trying to play these video games and every single character is a cishet white guy, then it sort of doesn't let people see themselves as the character. And so then when RPGs came in and they started letting you choose characters and character customization, then you can put yourself in that character's shoes, and it sort of gives extra representation where there actually isn't any. Instead of the game designers having to make sure that they have good representation for the main character being X, Y, or Z, you get to put your main character as whatever you want, and then they just happen to be whatever the player chooses them to be.
We could go into all of the merits of good representation itself, but that's a topic for a different video. For now, let's just agree that it's important for people to be able to see themselves in the media they consume. Giving people a chance to make characters that look like them is a sort of shortcut to representation. So if you're given a choice between player characters of different genders, you can either pick one that is the same gender as yourself, or one that isn't. Unless you're non-binary, because most games don't offer a non-binary option. Most people probably pick their own gender.
One of the important things about being able to choose your gender is just being able to be something you like. I hope you like yourself. If you do like yourself, then awesome, you get to see yourself. And then for cis people, it's just the advantage of being able to completely put yourself in. You can make yourself look like yourself, or with most games being power fantasies, you can make yourself look like the idealized version of yourself. So I think those are the two biggest things, is being able to see yourself, and especially if the goal of the game is supposed to be you are the one going on this journey, then just being able to choose your gender lets it actually be you.
And I think that's where being the boy actually doesn't work for me. I have a fairly narrow fashion. I pretty much always wear a t-shirt with cargo shorts or jeans, depending on the time of year, and a sweater or a jacket if it's cold, and I almost never wear a hat.
And when you see him wearing one on this channel, it's because he needs a haircut.
Most of the time, yes. Basically, what you see me wearing in videos is what I always wear. And so most male protagonists in Pokémon just don't have outfits that I like. Most of them are fine, but there's usually something that ruins the look for me, like Lucas's hat, Red's vest, or whatever this is that Brendan wore in Emerald. So when I first played X and Y with character customization, I picked the boy because I was excited to actually make him look like me, but I couldn't. For one, you have to start out looking like this. I hate the jacket, I hate the hat, I hate the glasses, the pants are fine, and the boots are okay, but I usually avoid wearing boots if I can. Then, clothing options are gated by progression. All of the clothes that actually look good are only available later on, and so you spend most of the game compromising rather than looking like yourself. Plus, in X and Y, you can't take off your hat, you can't wear glasses actually on your face, and the hair options are all boring. Alola fixed a lot of that. You get a lot more clothing options early on. The hair options are better. You can go hatless and you can wear glasses. The fashion was a little bit more tropical, so it's not a great match for what I wear now living in Canada, but it was actually a pretty decent match for what I wore growing up in Brazil. But the color options were version exclusive. If you're playing Sun, you can't have a blue shirt, unless you get the dye shop in the Festival Plaza. Sword and Shield, again, improved with a wider variety of clothing choices, but there are still two big problems preventing me from enjoying the boy options. One, the shoe options are terrible. I pretty much only wear like Converse style sneakers, and the last time we had something that kind of looked like that was in X and Y. And two, beard. It doesn't matter that the characters are supposed to be children. I've had facial hair of some kind since high school, so if I can't have a beard, it's not gonna feel like me. So picking the player character of my own gender ends up being more of a frustration than an expression of my identity. So let's look at the alternative. Molly gave me three categories of reasons for why players might choose to play as a gender other than their own.
The big three are curiosity, attractiveness, and egg. So curiosity is just, hey, I want to see what this is like. Let's just try it out.
That was basically my reason for having picked Chris in Crystal. I'd never played Pokemon as a girl before, so I figured I'd try it out. But I think this plays a fairly minor part in why I pick girl characters these days. I've tried it several times now. I'm not exactly curious about it anymore.
Then attractiveness is, hey, I just like these designs better, whether that's an aesthetic attractiveness or like, I think this character's hot and I want to stare at them. I know during World of Warcraft, it was really big for cishet guys to play as women just because they prefer to look at a woman the whole time. That was also why Laura Croft was a girl. It was originally going to be an Indiana Jones game, and the main designer was like, I don't want to look at a guy's ass this whole time. Let's make it a girl.
Now, there is a lot for me to unpack. Attractiveness is a huge factor for me. Girls are pretty, and I like to look at them. The only reason I can keep my eye on the camera is that my wife is behind it.
Hello.
And that's just part of human nature and human sexuality, where like that's how being human works. And we like to look at stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. Lesbians who play Pokemon as women, dudes, I've heard the same thing. I've heard from gay guys who play, like, yeah, that's just how the human mind works. Even if it does represent you, it also does represent, you also know it's someone else. And so it is nice to just have something appealing if you're going to be staring at it.
And Game Freak knows that their audience is aging, or at least that there's a wider range of ages. They don't talk about what age these characters are quote unquote supposed to be, because they're supposed to be you. I have a very hard time telling the age of anime characters anyway, but the player characters and rivals from Sword and Shield are very age ambiguous. They could, I guess, pass for like a 12-year-old or something, but they can just as easily pass for 24-year-olds. So, at least for me, I don't feel weird giving the girl an outfit that I think looks sexy. And then there's the other side of attractiveness. Let's look at X and Y again. Caleb starts out looking like this, and I find this outfit really boring. But Serena starts off with this. It's cute, it's colorful, it's well put together, and frankly, even if I couldn't customize it, I'd be okay with playing this for the whole game.
Guys don't care about fashion. Girls only care about fashion. If this is what happened, I'm sure it wasn't a conscious decision on Game Freak's part, but I bet they definitely put in a lot more effort into the female characters' clothes than they did the male characters' clothes.
And that carries through for the whole series. Girls just get a lot more options. You get dresses and skirts and pants. You get all kinds of shirts and sweaters and jackets. You get more hairstyles, you get makeup, and that's just more interesting.
It's also very expensive.
In-game or IRL?
I definitely meant IRL.
I know this applies to real life too. If you look at what people wear to a fancy event like a red carpet premiere or something like that, the women all look unique. If two women wear the same outfit, it's awkward. The men are probably all wearing a dark suit and tie and you can barely tell them apart. I do that too in real life. Like I said, I'm pretty much always wearing the same kind of outfit. So picking the girl character leaves a lot more room for experimentation.
You're going through and just like, it's just going to be something that looks good. And like, I don't need to project myself onto it as much. And then there's also no pressure to make it look and feel like you.
It doesn't have to be something that I would personally wear. I can just go with whatever outfit I think looks pretty. Here's a specific example. One of the reasons I decided to play Shining Pearl was to experience Sinnoh as Dawn. I hadn't done that before. And boy, am I glad I did. Looking at all the outfits, I love almost all the girl styles. They're not all my taste, but they all look good. They're well put together, not this one. And throughout my journey, I wore 4 different outfits. I looked up the boy styles afterwards, and they range from, I hate this, to, I'd like this if only I could get rid of the fanny pack, to, I guess this is the best option. But there's still one more reason why people might pick a gender other than their own for their player character.
The last one is egg, where egg is a term in the trans community where it means that you don't quite know you're trans yet. It's basically, you're doing it, and then it's like, oh shoot, 20 years later, you realize, hey, I was doing that because I'm actually trans.
I don't think that I'm trans, but I guess I'm a little trans curious, if you could call it that. Like, I'm very comfortable with being a man. I feel like this is where I fit. Calling myself anything else or using different pronouns would be weird. But like, if I could shapeshift and turn into a woman to experience life as a woman for a few hours or a few days at a time, and then turn back into this, I think I'd like to try that. That can't happen, but picking the girl character can give me a taste of it.
What exploring your gender actually does is allows you to be what you actually like, as opposed to being prescribed these things from society. And then because video games are such a safe place, they're a really easy way to explore your gender. And when you only have two options, it's easier to just press the other button sometimes and be like, hey, let's look at this. And sometimes you do explore yourself. Sometimes it is just, I'm having fun and I kind of like the female character design a little bit better.
When I apply my taste in clothes to a girl character with all of the added variety that that affords, I can see what I might look like as a girl. And like I said before, girls are cute. Looking at girl Libris makes me feel as cute as I think this looks.
I'm going to be honest, when you wrote that, my trans senses lit up and immediately were like, hey, I don't want to diagnose you, or it's not diagnosis, but whatever. Like, that's just like the first thing that comes to mind, or something like that.
And after now several years of exploring my gender in Pokemon games, I've started to explore it a bit more in real life too. I have a Wonder Woman jacket that I wear a fair bit, especially in the summer because it's fairly light, but I've worn it on videos before. And a few months ago, I got myself a skirt. A fairly simple black pleated skirt that's slowly becoming a more regular item in my wardrobe. I'm actually wearing it right now. I don't know if you can like pan the camera down to show my skirt and then come back.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. And like, that's the biggest problem with the gender binary, is that it's like, that doesn't make you trans. I mean, if you are, awesome. Like, I hope you explore, but you could also just be a cis guy who likes wearing skirts. And so then the question is like, is that non-binary? And I would say technically yes, like in our strict like patriarchal cishet society, like that is a form of non-binary just because we've made everything so rigid. I'm obviously not trying to tell you how to identify it, but it's like the idea of like, if you are seeing non-binary experiences, but you're like, I don't think I want to use different pronouns, then it's sort of just because the binary is bullshit. Very few people are rigidly in their gender box, even if they are cis. And people should wear clothes because they feel comfortable, because clothes aren't actually gendered.
I think that's a great note to end on. If you've ever tried playing Pokemon as a gender other than their own, or really any other game, I'd love to hear what your experience has been like, and if that gender exploration has spilled over into your real life. Thank you, Molly, for speaking with me and for helping me understand more of the trans experience and of my experience too.
Thank you for inviting me on. I'm planning on releasing a game. Can I promote that real quick? It's called Sinister World. It's a bit more political than what you usually see on Umbreon Libris' channel, but I think it's a lot of fun. If you like Fire Emblem, it plays sort of like that, and it's about a leftist revolution destroying a fascist government.
The game should be out in January, so if it sounds like something that you'd be into, follow Molly on Twitter. The link is in the description. Thank you to all of my patrons and YouTube channel members who help me keep making videos like this, especially luxury patron Ethan from Chicago. Thank you for watching, happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next chapter.